What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Friday, April 9th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have a 6-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Zach Plesac pitching against the Detroit Tigers. Now, Zach does pitch his best ball versus lefty batters. He's not facing any lefty batters here. And actually, he doesn't have good splits at all this game. He pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters. He's facing 5 switch hitters, but he still only gives up a .78 OPS versus switch hitters, and he's only giving up a .526 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 4 righties tonight. On top of that, the Tigers have only hit 11 of his last 45 pitches. That's a .244 batting average. So he's facing a low salary batting team, the lowest batting salary out of all of MLB. So he's got a good matchup here tonight despite the bad splits. And Zach Plesac is $8,600 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,000 more on DraftKings. So I love that FanDuel price. He's projected at 32.8 fantasy points here tonight. He had an ERA of 2.28 last year. His record was 4-2 on the season, pitching an average of 97 pitches per game. He was averaging 43 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 28, 28, and 29 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Zach Plesac here versus the Detroit Tigers. Okay, now another pitcher that I like, this is the pitcher I'd probably play on DraftKings, is Lance McCullers Jr. with a small pitching advantage over the Oakland Athletics. Lance McCullers Jr., he's giving up a .770 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 5 righties here tonight. The Athletics have only hit 24 of his last 94 pitches, batting a .255 batting average, and Lance McCullers Jr. is $9,000 FanDuel salary and 100 more on DraftKings. He's projected at 24.9 fantasy points here tonight. He had an ERA of 3.93 last year, record of 3-3 on the season, pitching an average of 80 pitches per game. He was averaging 27 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 39, 23, and 55 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Lance McCullers Jr. here versus the Oakland Athletics.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $100 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and then we'll send you $100 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the first base position. I like Freddie Freeman with a 41% batting advantage over Zach Wheeler. Freddie Freeman is batting 41% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a 1.228 OPS versus righties. And Zach Wheeler throws his worst ball versus lefty batters, giving up a .665 OPS versus lefties. Now I like this pick because Freddie Freeman is 17 for 38, batting a .447 batting average and a 1.288 OPS versus Wheeler. He's got 2 home runs in there, 4 of those are doubles. He's just smashing the ball off of Zach Wheeler, and he's only $3,600 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,300 more on DraftKings. He's projected at 12.9 fantasy points here tonight. He was averaging 15 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He scored 18, 19, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Freddie Freeman here versus Zach Wheeler. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I'm going to give you a value play here. I like Nick Solak with an 8% batting advantage over Joe Musgrove. Nick Solak, he's batting a .651 OPS versus righties. And Joe Musgrove, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters. 16% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .777 OPS versus righties. Nick Solak is $2,800 FanDuel salary, and he's $900 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year, projected at 10 fantasy points here tonight, and he scored 22, 21, and 6 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Nick Solak here versus Joe Musgrove. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Mike Mastakis with a 63% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Taylor Widener. Mike Mastakis is batting 24% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .860 OPS versus righties. And Taylor Widener, he pitches his worst ball by far to lefty batters. 40% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.017 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Widener yet, but Mike Mastakis is $3,500 FanDuel salary and $600 more on DraftKings. Projected at 9.8 fantasy points here tonight. He averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he scored 15, 12, and 31 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Mike Mastakis here versus Taylor Widener.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Bo Bichette with a 10% batting advantage over Andrew Heaney. Bo Bichette, he bats a little bit better versus lefty pitchers. He's batting a .855 OPS versus lefties. And Andrew Heaney, he throws his worst ball versus righty batters. 8% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .745 OPS versus righties. There's no at-bats versus Heaney yet, and Bo Bichette is only $3,000 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,700 more on DraftKings. He's projected at 14 fantasy points here tonight. He averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he scored 12, 3, and 37 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Bo Bichette here versus Andrew Heaney. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I like Bryce Harper with a 6% batting advantage over Charlie Morton. Bryce Harper, he bats just about the same to lefty and righties. He's giving up a he's batting a .960 OPS versus righties, and Charlie Morton, he throws his worst ball versus lefty batters, giving up a .809 OPS versus lefties. And Bryce Harper is 7 for 16, batting a .438 batting average and a 1.276 OPS versus Morton. So excellent batter versus pitcher stats there. And Bryce Harper is $3,800 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,600 more on DraftKings. Projected at 12.2 fantasy points here tonight. He averaged 13 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he scored 19, 3, and 16 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Bryce Harper here versus Charlie Morton.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.